whenever he could. He considered Williams a close friend, as you could see right there. It was a somber mood in Beantown with the passing of Ted Williams. But the games do go on, and for the Tigers, they are looking to keep the momentum going after winning their first road series of the year last night against the White Sox. Tonight, they start their final series before the All-Star break with a 3-game set against the Red Sox. Changing socks, if you will. Both teams out. Taps being played pregame. Number 9 was cut into the grass in left field where Teddy patrolled.
He was better than 20-20, whatever it is, 20-10 or 10-20, whatever it is. And, of course, he had dedication, and he was a very intelligent guy who could approach hitting from a studying standpoint. And he picked everybody's brains about hitting. No matter who you were, he'd sit down and talk to you about hitting.
And we'll have more on Ernie Hartwell's memories of Teddy Ballgame later in the show. Ted Williams lived the life that most of us dream about. He became a hero to millions, not just for his Hall of Fame baseball career, but his distinguished military service. Kevin takes a look back at the life and times of one of the game's greatest legends.
From the first time he grabbed a bat as a lanky kid growing up in San Diego, Theodore Samuel Williams had one baseball obsession: to be known as the greatest hitter who ever lived. Anything else was an intrusion. He had little time for fans, none for the media. Williams could be combative, aloof, and unsmiling on the field, all the while driven to refine a swing that was already nearly flawless by the time he started his big league career in 1939. As a 6'4", 172-pound rookie, the splendid Splinter batted .327, belted 31 homers, and led the majors with 145 RBIs. He had earned one nickname because of his build. He would earn others because he came to play every single day. He was Teddy Ballgame, the Kid. In only his third season, he earned a lasting place in baseball lore by batting .406. He's still the only player since 1930 to break 400, and he did it his way. Offered the chance to sit out Boston's final day of that 1941 season to preserve his average, he refused and went 6 for 8 in a doubleheader in Philadelphia. Ted Williams never took anything sitting down. He played 19 years with the Red Sox, batted .344, hit 521 homers, and led the league in slugging 8 times. A 6-time batting champion, he was as dominant a hitter as the game has ever known. He swung his way into Cooperstown despite the fact that he lost nearly 5 seasons to military service. He was a Navy flight instructor for 3 years in World War II, then returned in 1946 to win the first of his 2 MVP awards. He led the Sox to the World Series that season, but batted only .200 in a 7-game loss to St. Louis. The next season, he won his second Triple Crown, but the MVP went to the popular Joe DiMaggio. Many say in part because of Williams' chilly relationship with the baseball writers who vote on that award. Boston lost a playoff to the Yankees in 1948, lost the '49 pennant the last day of the season, and Williams never got close to the postseason again. After missing most of 2 more seasons to fly fighter planes in Korea, he played 8 more years, batting .388 at 39 and leading the league again at 40. He homered in his final at-bat of his career, circled the Fenway bases quickly with his head down, and never even tipped his cap to the screaming fans. His relationship had long before soured with the Fenway faithful, and the cheering from one home run in 1960 couldn't make up for the 20 years of appreciation that he felt he was owed. It wasn't until well after his career ended that Williams allowed himself into the hearts of baseball fans. Eventually, baseball embraced the man, not just the accomplishments, and he welcomed the embrace. Out of baseball since his 4-year stint as manager of the Washington Senators and Texas Rangers ended in 1972, Williams was invited back to Fenway in 1984 for Old Timers Day. It was magical. He took batting practice, played in the game, and delivered a heartfelt speech to a stadium full of people, most of whom had probably never seen him play. He seemed rejuvenated, not bitter. He had become one of the world's premier game fishermen in his retirement, and he eased his way back into the game, advising young hitters like fellow San Diego icon Tony Gwynn. The last time most of us saw Ted Williams was the 1999 All-Star Game in Boston. The All-Century team was being honored, with the game's living legend standing on the diamond, a golf cart carrying Teddy Ballgame, here from the right field bullpen. Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Tom Seaver, all the greats cheered the man who had just been introduced as the greatest hitter who ever lived. When the cart finally stopped at the mound, they broke from their ranks around the infield and surrounded the frail Williams. The park erupted. Active players like Ivan Rodriguez and Nomar Garciaparra watched in awe. With Gwen supporting him, Williams threw out the first pitch. The man known as the Splendid Splinter stayed a few minutes longer. On the same field where he had perfected his swing, where he had won batting titles, lost pennants, where he had struck out and battled with fans, where he could not bring himself to tip his cap 4 decades earlier, he acknowledged the cheers, and then he cried.
There is a red seat at Fenway Park in right field, 520 feet away, commemorating the farthest home run ever hit by Ted Williams, a guy wearing a straw hat during the day in the 40s. Didn't see it. Head down, the home run hits him right in the top. It goes through the hat, I think. Didn't hurt him. Luckily, he grabbed the ball, he got it, and the seat is going to be empty for the rest of the year in tribute to Teddy Ballgame.
And also, I believe it was 41 at Old Briggs Stadium in Detroit. He hit that game-winning All-Star homer for the American League. He said that was his most vivid memory of when he was a ball player, and his most lasting memory was that home run he hit to win it for the American League because the Sox never won the World Series.
That's true.
That's right. Good stuff there.
Yep.
Well, we want to get to interactive
Legend to talk about the memories of the hitting legend.
Ernie, you had the pleasure, of course, of seeing Ted Williams play. Talk a little bit about what it was like to watch him at the plate.
Well, he was the focus of attention any time he played because people appreciated his great hitting prowess. And he was a dramatic guy at the plate, and he was the kind of a guy that everybody would stop and watch. Even in batting practice, the other players had so much respect for him, they'd watch him. But when he was in the game, it was sort of a pivotal point of every game to see Ted Williams come to the bat, and you were excited whether he had a home run or whether he struck out.
His passion and dedication and really the love of the game were legendary. Do you think we've seen a player whose intensity surpasses that of Ted Williams?
Well, I think there are a lot of guys who play Major League Baseball today that have that intensity and want to succeed. Some of them have ability, some of them don't. And it's great to see a guy get the most out of his ability because we've also seen some guys that might have been superstars, but they didn't make the most of the God-given ability. And I think that's one of the saddest things you can see in any sport. But Ted exemplified a guy who had great talent given to him by God and then made the most of it through his dedication and his enthusiasm.
I had the opportunity to ask Ted at one point what his greatest accomplishment in his own mind was, and it surprised me because he said it was his service and his stints in the Marine Corps as a pilot. I never forgot that. Talk a little bit about Ted as a man off the field and really how that contributed to the way we'll remember him.
Well, I think it's a large contributing factor to the way we remember Ted, the fact that he was in the Marines twice as a flyer and dedicated his life to the service of his country. And I know that the Marines are proud of him, and everybody who's ever been a Marine is very proud of that fact. And I look on Ted as sort of a typical Marine because he was ready to fight for his country, and he did it in great fashion.
I heard Carl ask you this question, and I will too, because I was here at the '99 All-Star Game. What did that tribute mean? It was so interesting to me to watch those modern-day All-Stars really stand in awe of Ted Williams.
I think it just showed to Ted how much the modern player thought about him, how much respect they had for his ability, and the fact that he was a superstar. They looked up to him, and the fact that they would delay playing the big game just to be with this guy was about as good a tribute as anybody could have in the world of athletics.
I know you knew Ted for quite some time. Do you have a particular memory, either on the field or off the field, that comes to mind the way you'll remember Ted Williams personally?
Well, I remember him in my 1942 interview when I was in just a youngster starting out in radio, and he came out to the studio in WSB in Atlanta, got a cab, came down there, got a cab back, and I didn't even think about paying his cab fare even. And then through the years, I knew him in Baltimore. And I knew him on the Veterans Committee. We had some good times there, and I enjoyed listening to his appraisal of the players that we were talking about, who should be in and who should be out. And once again, he was very thorough and dedicated in that work, too.
Is he the greatest hitter the game?
Batting average or RBIs or something in baseball, he was a great hitter.
Williams made Fenway Park his home for 19 years, and that's where the Tigers were tonight. A moment of silence beforehand, tied at 2 in the 6th.